Welcome to today's lecture. Today we will be studying about the lumbar vertebra. The lumbar vertebra is present in the lower back or the lumbar region. They are 5 in number. L1 to L4 are the typical lumbar vertebrae, whereas L5 is the atypical lumbar vertebra. Few identifying features of the lumbar vertebra are: first is they are having a very large massive body. Second, absence of costal facets in the body. Third, the vertebral foramen is triangular in shape. Fourth, the spinous process is quadrangular in shape. Fifth, absence of foramen transversarium in the transverse process. Sixth, presence of accessory processes as well as mammillary processes. Then seventh, superior articular facet is concave in shape. Then eighth, inferior articular facet is convex in shape. Now this slide what you are seeing here, this is an typical lumbar vertebra. So the L1 to L4 lumbar vertebra will appear in a similar way. So few things what is supposed to study here. So one is we will be studying about this entire thing. This is the body. Then these are the pedicles. So in this body, so this is the anterior aspect, whereas this is the posterior aspect. So the body will be anteriorly, the spinous process will be posteriorly. So this is the body. Then we will be studying about these. These are called the pedicles. Then you will see the vertebral foramen. So this is the vertebral foramen. Then these are the lamina. So here on either side what you are having here. So these are the lamina. This is the spine. Then these are the transverse processes. So these are the transverse processes. Then here you are having superior articular process. Then below will be the inferior articular process, which you are not able to see in this view. Then you are having the accessory processes. So these are the accessory processes which is present here. Then you are having the mammillary process. So these are the mammillary process. So the identifying feature for the lumbar vertebra, one is they are having a massive body. Then absence of costal facets on the body. So on the sides of this usually there will be the costal facets for the thoracic vertebra for the attachment of ribs. So here there is absence of costal facets. Then the vertebral foramen what is present here, the shape of it is triangular. Then the spine is quadrangular in shape. Then absence of foramen transversarium in the transverse process. So in this transverse process, for the cervical vertebra there will be a foramen called the foramen transversarium, which is absent over here. Then the other extra features what was present you can see here, that was the accessory process. Then apart from that you are having the mammillary process. Then the superior articular facet will be concave in shape, whereas inferior articular facet is convex in shape. This slide is showing the entire vertebral column. This is the anterior view, how it appears. This is how it appears from the side, that is the lateral view. And this is from the behind, posterior view. So now we are studying only about this lumbar vertebra. So all these lumbar vertebra together, when they are present, they present a ventral convexity curve. So you can see this curve what is present here. So it is producing an ventral convexity curve anteriorly. This slide is showing the enlarged view of only the lumbar vertebrae. So you can see L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. 5 lumbar vertebrae, how it is arranged, and you can see the convexity which it is producing anteriorly. So this is the anterior aspect, this is the posterior aspect. And this view is from how it appears from the side. So now we will study about the body of the lumbar vertebra. So this view is how it appears from above. This is the body of the lumbar vertebra. This is how it appears from the side. So this body, you can see it is very large. It is kidney shaped. Then its transverse diameter is more comparing the antero-posterior diameter. This is anterior aspect, this is a posterior aspect. So its transverse diameter is more comparing the antero-posterior diameter. Then if you see the height of the body, it is slightly greater anteriorly than the posterior aspect. So because anterior aspect the size is little more, that is the reason there is forward convexity of the lumbar spine. Then what you can see is the upper as well as lower surface of the body. So it is related to the intervertebral disc. So you can see these are the intervertebral disc which is present in between the lumbar vertebrae. So this intervertebral disc is made up of, center you are having the nucleus pulposus which is surrounded by annulus fibrosus on the sides. Then this body, when you see it, it is not having any costal facets. There is absence of costal facets in the body. Then the size of the body increases progressively from first to fifth lumbar vertebra. So when you see it, the size of the body will increase. So the fifth lumbar vertebra will be having a larger body comparing the first lumbar vertebra. Now if you see, this slide is showing the attachments to the body. So this is the anterior aspect, whereas this is the posterior aspect of the body. So if you see the anterior surface in the midline, they provide attachment to the anterior longitudinal ligament. So this is the anterior longitudinal ligament which is attached to the body anteriorly. And behind the body you are having the attachment to the posterior longitudinal ligament. Then also the crura of diaphragm, that is attached to the anterior surface on either side of the anterior longitudinal ligament. So the right crura, you cannot see in this picture, the right crura is attached to upper 3 lumbar vertebra and the left crura is attached to upper 2 lumbar vertebra. So this slide is showing the attachment to the body. So this is the body of the lumbar vertebra. This is the vertebral foramen. So anterior, this is the anterior aspect, this is the posterior aspect of the body. So anteriorly you are having attachment of anterior longitudinal ligament, posteriorly posterior longitudinal ligament. On side to this anterior longitudinal ligament you are having this attachment of crus of the diaphragm, crus or the crura of the diaphragm. So here in the right side it is attached up to the 3 lumbar vertebra, whereas left side up to 2 lumbar vertebra. Then posterolateral to the crura, you can see the attachment of a muscle that is called the psoas major muscle. So you can see the body here, posterolateral, this is the anterior aspect, this is the posterior aspect. Posterolaterally you are having the attachment of the psoas major muscle. So the psoas major muscle is attached to the posterolateral aspect of the body of all the lumbar vertebrae. Now coming to the vertebral foramen. So you can see this is the vertebral foramen. It is triangular in shape. So this vertebral foramen is larger than the thoracic vertebra, but it is smaller compared to the cervical vertebral foramen. Then what is present in this vertebral foramen? The conus medullaris with pia mater occupies the vertebral foramen of first lumbar vertebra. Then the cauda equina, which contains a branch of nerve roots, is present in the vertebral foramen of lower fourth lumbar vertebra, that is from L2 to L5 lumbar vertebra. The dura mater and arachnoid matter are found in the vertebral foramen of all the lumbar vertebra. Now coming to the pedicle. So what you are seeing here, so these are the pedicle. So they are short and they are very strong. They project backwards from the upper part of the body. So from the upper part of the body, what is projecting backwards? So they are the pedicle. So in this slide, this is the lateral view. You can see this is the body. So these are the pedicles which is projecting backwards from the upper part of the body. So these pedicle, as they project behind, they produce two notches. One is the superior vertebral notch, then below you are having the inferior vertebral notch. So these inferior vertebral notches, they are deeper compared to the superior vertebral notch. So these vertebral notches of adjacent vertebra. So here you are having, this is the inferior vertebral notch, above you are having the superior vertebral notch. So the adjacent vertebra, the superior as well as the inferior vertebral notch, they complete the formation of intervertebral foramen. So in between these vertebrae, so here this is the body of the vertebra, here intervertebral disc will be present. So this is the inferior vertebral notch, whereas this is the superior vertebral notch. So the adjacent vertebra, superior as well as inferior vertebral notch, they form an foramen, and this foramen is called the intervertebral foramen. So this intervertebral foramen transmits the spinal nerves as well as the radicular vessels. Next, what we are going to see, that is the lamina. So what is present here on both sides, so this is the lamina. So these lamina, they are short, thick and broad plates. So they are directed backwards and medially to complete the vertebral foramen posteriorly. So this, for the completion of this vertebral foramen, you are having this lamina which is directed backwards and medially. So what is attached to this laminae? It is the ligamentum flavum, FLAVUM. So this ligament is attached to the upper border as well as the lower half of the anterior surface. So here in this picture you can see, so this is the ligamentum flavum which is attached to the laminae. Then the posterior surface of the laminae gives attachment to the deep muscles of the back. So this is the posterior surface of the laminae. So here the muscles will be attached, that is the deep muscles of the back. Now we will be studying about the spine of the lumbar vertebra. So this spine is quadrilateral in shape. So it projects almost backwards. It is thickened along its posterior and inferior borders. Now this slide is showing the attachments to the spine. So the posterior border provides attachment to the supraspinous ligament in the midline and posterior lamellae of thoracolumbar fascia on each side. You can see the posterior layer of thoracolumbar fascia is attached on both sides. Then if you see the superior and inferior borders, it receives attachment to the interspinous ligament in the midline as well as the interspinalis muscle on each side. Then the erector spinae muscle as well as multifidus muscle are attached to the sides of the spine. So this slide is showing, so these are the spinous process. So in between the spine, the attachment of the ligament. So this is the interspinous ligament. Now we will see the transverse process. So these are the transverse processes. So these transverse processes are thin and tapering. They are homologous to the ribs of the thoracic region. They project posterolaterally from the pedicellolaminar junction. So this is the pedicle, this is the lamina. So between the pedicle and the lamina, the junction, that is the pedicellolaminar junction, from there it projects posterolaterally. The length of the transverse processes increases from first lumbar vertebra to the third lumbar vertebra, and thereafter it decreases in length. The medial and lateral arcuate ligaments of the diaphragm are attached to the tip of the transverse process of the first lumbar vertebra. The iliolumbar ligament is attached to the tip of the fifth lumbar vertebra. In this picture, you can see this is the transverse process. This is the tip of the transverse process. The middle lamella or the middle layer of the thoracolumbar fascia is attached to the tips of the transverse process of all the vertebra. Then you are having the anterior lamella or the anterior layer of thoracolumbar fascia is attached to the faint ridge on the front of the transverse process. The anterior surface medial to the ridge gives attachment to the psoas major muscle, while the area lateral to the ridge give attachment to the quadratus lumborum muscle. So you can see here psoas major is attached anterior to the ridge, whereas the quadratus lumborum muscle is attached posterior to the ridge. The upper and lower border of transverse processes gives attachment to the intertransverse muscles. The posterior-inferior aspect of each transverse processes presents a small rough elevation. What you can see here. So this is a transverse process. Posterior-inferior to it, you are having an elevation, a rough elevation, that is called the accessory process. So these are the accessory process. So these accessory process, it represents the true transverse processes. It provides attachment to the medial intertransverse muscle. Now coming to the superior articular process. So these are the superior articular process which is present over here. So this superior articular process, the facet of it is concave in shape. So it faces backwards and medially. The posterior border are marked by an roughened elevation which is called the mammillary process. So in the posterior border, this roughened elevation which is arising from the superior articular process, it is called the mammillary process. So this mammillary process, they provide attachment to the medial intertransverse muscles and deep muscles of the back. Now in this picture what you can see, so this is the superior articular facet. Here these are the inferior articular process as well as the inferior articular facet. So here this is the inferior articular facet. The inferior articular facet is convex in shape. It faces forwards and laterally. If you see this picture, so this is showing, so here these are the superior articular facets, here these are the inferior articular facets. This figure is showing the distance between the articular process. So the distance between the superior articular processes is relatively more than the inferior articular process in upper three lumbar vertebra. Then the fourth lumbar vertebra, both the superior articular process as well as the inferior articular process, the distance is approximately equal. Then if you see the fifth lumbar vertebra, the distance between the superior articular process is less comparing the distance of the inferior articular process. So in fifth lumbar vertebra, the distance between the inferior articular process is more comparing the distance between the superior articular process. This slide is showing the atypical, that is the fifth lumbar vertebra. So lumbar vertebra first to fourth was typical. So this is the appearance of the fifth lumbar vertebra. This is how it appears superiorly. This is from behind how it appears. This is from the side. So the transverse process of the fifth lumbar vertebra is thick, short as well as pyramidal in shape. Then their base is attached to the whole thickness of the pedicle, and also it encroaches the side of the body. Then the spine is small, short and rounded at the tip. Then the body is larger comparing the rest of the lumbar vertebrae. So if you see the fifth lumbar vertebra, the anterior surface of the body is much extensive than the posterior surface. This is responsible for sharp lumbosacral angle. Below you will have the sacrum and the angle what is formed, that is called the lumbosacral angle, and the angle is 120 degree in adults. Other features are the superior articular facets will look more backwards than medially, then the inferior articular facets will look more forwards. Then the distance between the inferior articular facets is more comparing the superior articular facets. This method is called the Fawcett's method. This method is used to identify the lumbar vertebra. So when we see the lumbar vertebra from behind, if you see an individual lumbar vertebra, a four-sided figure can be constructed by joining the four articular processes. So here there will be the superior articular processes, this will be the inferior articular process. So all the lumbar vertebra, they are comparing the superior articular processes and inferior articular process. If you take a four-sided figure can be drawn. So if you see for the first lumbar vertebra and second lumbar vertebra, the shape when we join the superior articular facets and inferior articular facets, it appears trapezium in shape. So if you see the first and second lumbar vertebra, top it is more broader comparing the base. That's why it gives the shape as trapezium. It is rectangle with long vertical lines in the third lumbar vertebra. Then the shape of it is square in fourth lumbar vertebra. Then it is rectangle with long horizontal lines in the fifth lumbar vertebra. Now coming to the ossification of the lumbar vertebra. The lumbar vertebra is having 3 primary centers of ossification and 7 secondary centers for ossification. 3 primary centers appear during the 7 to 8 week of intrauterine life. So one primary center is for the body or the centrum. The other 2 primary centers is for the 2 halves of the vertebral arch. The 2 halves of the vertebral arch fuse with each other during the first year of life. Then the arch will fuse with the body of the vertebra at the 6th year of life. Now coming to the 7 secondary centers, in that 2 secondary center is for the body. One is for the upper part of body, one is for the lower part of body. 2 secondary centers is for the tip of the transverse process. 2 secondary center is for the mammillary processes. And 1 secondary center is for the spinous process. So all these secondary centers will fuse at 25 years of life. Coming to clinical importance. First is sacralization of the lumbar vertebra. Here the 5th lumbar vertebra will fuse with the sacrum. Due to this, there will be pressure on the 5th lumbar nerve. Second is lumbarization of the sacrum. Here the first sacral vertebra remains free from the sacrum and it fuses with the 5th lumbar vertebra. Third is spina bifida. The two halves of the neural arch fail to fuse, leaving a gap in the midline. The meninges and spinal cord may herniate out through the gap. So if there is so you can see in this picture, this is the body of the vertebra. So you can see the protrusion of the meninges along with CSF. So it is called the meningocele. Then fourth, you are having spondylolisthesis. So here you can see the 5th lumbar vertebra, it slips forwards over the sacrum. So this is called the spondylolisthesis. Then in any fracture or dislocation, it results in central disc protrusion. So it can lead to cauda equina syndrome. So here in this picture you can see this is the intervertebral disc which is made up of center nucleus pulposus and in the periphery annulus fibrosus. So this disc prolapse, it occurs when there is weakness of the annulus fibrosus and the rupture of annulus fibrosus. Usually the disc prolapse will occur in the posterolateral direction. Next is lumbar lordosis. Anterior convexity of the lumbar vertebra may get exaggerated, leading to lumbar lordosis. Next is lumbar rib. An additional or an extra rib may arise from the lumbar vertebra. If it arises, then it is called as 13th rib. Thank you for watching.